The morning sun spilled gold across the rolling fields of Montana, touching every blade of wheat with warmth and memory. James Whitlock stood at the edge of his farmhouse porch, a cup of coffee in his hand, but his heart colder than the porcelain mug. He had everything money could buy, land that stretched farther than the eye could see, barns full of cattle, and a reputation as one of the richest men in the state. But peace, that was something he'd lost a long time ago. Every morning was the same. He'd stare at the horizon, waiting for something that never came, or someone who'd left years ago. Her name had been carved into him like wind into rock, Naomi. She'd been his wife once. The woman who laughed like summer rain, who had hands that smelled like fresh bread and a heart too wide for the narrow world they lived in. But that was before money hardened him, before pride turned his love into distance. They had married young, when James was just a ranch hand with dreams bigger than his boots. Naomi was a teacher then, beautiful, smart, full of fire. They'd loved like the world had no color lines, no whispers behind backs. But it did. His family never approved. Her skin was a different shade, her roots different, her heart too bold for his father's liking. And when James inherited the Whitlock fortune, he'd let their voices drown out hers. The day she left, it had rained so hard the roads turned to rivers. He never went after her. Pride whispered that she'd come back. But pride was a liar. Now, 5 years later, as the engines of his workers' trucks rumbled to life in the distance, James thought about how empty success felt when there was no one to share breakfast with. He took a sip of coffee, glanced toward the dirt road, and froze. A woman was walking through the gate. Her dress was simple, her stride steady, her hair tied in a scarf that the wind teased. 3 small children ran around her, laughing, chasing butterflies, the kind of laughter that pierced even the hardest heart. James blinked, his chest tightened. Naomi, and 3 children who looked exactly like him. The cup slipped from his hand and shattered against the wooden steps. For a moment, he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The world around him narrowed to her face, that familiar warmth, the softness of her eyes, the hint of heartbreak she carried like a shadow. James, she said softly when she reached the porch. It's been a while. Her voice, God, her voice, it hadn't changed. He wanted to speak, to ask, to understand, but words tangled in his throat. He just stared at the children, triplets, maybe 6 years old, 1 boy and 2 girls, their hazel eyes mirroring his own. The same dimpled smile, the same stubborn chin. Are they? They're yours, she finished, her tone calm but not unkind. James staggered back like she'd struck him. The years of silence, of pretending he'd moved on, came crashing down all at once. He knelt slowly, looking at the children. One of the girls, the smallest, tilted her head curiously. Mama, is he the cowboy you told us about? Naomi smiled faintly. Yes, sweetheart, he is. The little boy stepped forward, his small boots kicking up dust. You got big cows, he said proudly, pointing toward the field. James couldn't help but laugh, a broken sound that cracked through his chest. Yeah, I do. Naomi crossed her arms, watching him carefully. We didn't come to cause trouble, James. We were just passing through. I wanted the